Hello, welcome to your next history lesson. Today we are answering the question, how did Spanish exploration change the lives of people in the Americas? First of all, the Columbian Exchange. When Columbus made contact with the Taino people in 1492, he began what is now called the Columbian Exchange. The term refers to the trading of items, animals, culture, ideas, and more between Europeans and native peoples of the Americas. The Spanish brought plants, animals, and other products to Europe that were unknown there before. These included corn, peanuts, tomatoes, potatoes, pineapples, turkeys, tobacco, and most types of beans. Many European farmers began to grow these new plants. As a result of this, fewer people in Europe starved. The European diet became healthier, and the population of Europe increased. The Spanish also brought new products to the Americas. These included wheat, sugar, oranges, peaches, bananas, cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, and horses. But not all things traded in the Columbia Exchange but let's try that again. But not all things traded in the Columbian Exchange were good or useful. The Europeans accidentally brought diseases such as smallpox and measles to the Americas. Because of these diseases, because these diseases were new to the natives, they had not developed any resistance to them. As a result, they died in great numbers. Spanish exploration and conquest. Juan Ponce de Leon. Juan Ponce de Leon was a Spanish explorer who came to the Americas on Columbus's second voyage. Later, he was governor of Puerto Rico. In 1513, he became the first Spanish explorer to land in what is now part of the United States. He called the area La Florida, Spanish for full of flowers, and claimed it for Spain. In 1521, he was wounded in a battle with the Calusa tribe and returned to Cuba, where he died of his wounds. Hernan Cortez and the Aztecs. This part gets pretty interesting. Hernan Cortez, another Spanish explorer, heard stories from native people that there was a vast empire rich in gold to the west of the Caribbean islands. This empire did in fact exist. It was the Aztec Empire. The Aztec Empire ruled over several native groups in what is now central Mexico. The Aztecs practiced ritual human sacrifice to an extent never seen at any other time in human history. So they didn't only practice human sacrifice, but they did it a lot. They believed they had to sacrifice humans to their sun god, Huitzilopochtli, in order to ensure that the sun would keep coming up every morning. So they thought they had to kill people in order to keep the sun coming up. They thought that if they didn't sacrifice humans to their sun god, they thought the sun would no longer come up and the entire world would be destroyed. They also sacrificed humans to their snake god, Quetzalcoatl. Hernan Cortez and his men were shocked by the violent Aztec practice of human sacrifice. They even recorded in their journals that the Aztecs had temples built of human skulls. These temples were later found at an excavation site in Mexico in 2018, so it was true. In 1529, Cortez left Cuba with only around 508 soldiers and 100 sailors, seeking the great empire he had heard about. When he arrived at Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, Moctezuma, the emperor of the Aztec Empire, met with him. Cortez took Moctezuma prisoner in his own palace, causing a riot in which Moctezuma was killed by one of his own people. The Aztecs then drove Cortez and his troops from the city. A few months later, Cortez returned with a larger force made up mainly of native fighters who were unhappy with Aztec rule. So I already told you the Aztecs practiced human sacrifice, and they didn't sacrifice their own people. they were an empire, so they didn't only control their own tribe, they controlled tons of other tribes around them. Well, who do you think they picked for the human sacrifices? They didn't pick their own people, the people who lived in Tenochtitlan. They picked people from surrounding tribes. So these people weren't super happy with Aztec rule. And when Cortez said he was going to take down the Aztecs, they were like, hey, we will fight with you because we don't want to be sacrificed anymore. After 75 days of battle, Cortez and his army destroyed the Aztec capital. On its ruins, they built Mexico City, which became the capital of New Spain. New Spain expands. By 1525, the Spanish territory of New Spain included most of present-day Mexico and Central America. In 1528, Alvar Núñez Quebaza de Vaca, think if that was your name, that would take you a long time to learn how to write in kindergarten. Alvar Núñez Quebaza de Vaca was exploring the coast along the Gulf of Mexico. He was shipwrecked by a hurricane and landed in what is now Texas. There, he and his crew lived among the American Indians for 4 years. Eventually, they left on foot. They walked through parts of what are now New Mexico and Arizona to return to Mexico. Hernando de Soto began an expedition in 1538 through what is now the southeastern United States. He and his men became the first explorers to see the Mississippi River. In 1540, Francisco Vasquez de Coronada and his men became the first European explorers to see the Grand Canyon, and they claimed large areas of the American Southwest for Spain. And that's the end of today's lesson. Make sure you click on the worksheet and carefully answer the questions. All the answers to the questions are in this presentation, so there's no need to guess. And I will catch you next time. Signing off.